Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
There's no better feeling than a personal win. And the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
All right, let us have it.
So, Manny Hill and I were just watching Iran and Portugal play in a World Cup game. This is the end of group play. We're going 16-team advance. There's 8 4-team brackets, and the top two in each bracket advance to the 16-team knockout round, okay? Mm-hmm. So Iran is behind 1-0. There's about 15 minutes to go. They put on the damnedest display of diving you have ever seen. Including a guy who someone waves his hand past his face, and the guy is down there laying on the ground.
And they stay down, don't they?
And then a Spaniard did the same thing, first of all. Then a Spaniard did the same thing, and the Iranian guy goes over and stands over him and get up, and he looks at his watch like, get up, come on, you bum. And so about a minute later, the guy from Spain kicks him right in the boys and gets a red card. But then Iran spend the last 10 minutes just diving, and they finally got a penalty kick, and they tied it 1-1, but they end up getting eliminated. But the moral of the story, Trump is right. You can't trust them. No. You can't trust these Iranians. I watched them play soccer. They're sneaky. You can't trust them. I made up my decision on the nuclear deal with Iran. Trump's right. You can't trust him.
What's the red card mean? You're out of the game?
You're out of the game and the next game. And they had an investigation of the great Ronaldo for a red card when some guy was backing into him like a basketball player trying to not block a guy off the rebound. Backing into him. So Ronaldo kind of reached around him to get around him.
Yeah.
And the guy...
He flailed.
And he convinced the referees to go over and look at the replay to see if it was a red card. And they ended up giving Ronaldo a yellow card, which they shouldn't have even given him then. I don't know that much about soccer, but the diving is disgraceful.
So what they're hoping for is if they can get red cards on these people.
Well, if they get Ronaldo thrown out of the game, he's the best player in the world, probably.
Right, but you don't get to replace a guy who's been red carded. You're just now short that
Hell,
many.
you can play with as few as 9, I think, out of 11. Yeah, so. But there's always a diving problem in soccer, but in the World Cup, it multiplies itself by 5. It's just a constant attempt to get somebody either thrown out of the game or get a penalty kick. Anytime you're down in the...
Who's the favorite to win this thing?
Usually Germany, although they got beat by Mexico in the group round, but they've advanced now. And Germany is the defending champ, and I guess Germany and Brazil are the co-betting favorites. Now, last time around, we had one of the greatest moments in World Cup history. My World Cup history going all the way back to 94. They've had it before then, but
I think
that was when Brazil was hosting the World Cup.
Okay.
And actually, it seemed like that country really already the economy was terrible, but by the time the Olympics showed up 2 years later, it was worse because they built all these World Cup stadiums all over. But Brazil has got it on its homeland. It's going to win, and in the semifinals, Germany beat them 7-0.
Wow,
which is the equivalent of 120-0 in every other sport, in a football game. It's worse than 41 donut.
Yeah,
7-0.
Is it worse than
Costa Bleepin' Rica?
They're out too.
Costa Bleepin' Rica?
What's the tiniest nation still alive, or country still alive?
Uruguay's in there.
Yeah, Uruguay doesn't have a huge population, but if you go back in World Cup history, they won two championships in the early years. They have a strong. The South American soccer is fantastic for the most part.
Is there an excessive amount of flailing and falling in, for the United in that league? Is there
not nearly.
This is more dramatic.
No, this is more because you're playing for God and country.
Yeah, this is the world stage.
Yeah,
okay. Got it.
Hey, I remember watching the U.S. in the game they were going to get eliminated with 4 years ago. I don't know who beat them, Belgium or Germany or somebody. They were, the last 10 minutes, it was synchronized swan diving for them, man. They were flying all over the place. We're no better than them. But the Iranians set a new standard for being jackasses today.
And they lost.
Anyway, they ended up tied 1-1. They got a penalty kick late, but it did not allow them to advance. And Spain and Morocco tied. Now, that's pretty good arch rivalry right there because, hell, you can almost see them. If you get on top of the big rock, you can damn near see Morocco right across the Mediterranean there. So,
are you going to see the Cubs this weekend?
Yes. I'm going to be there, and haven't seen the new Wrigley with all the changes they've made. The rooftops they're still out there, but you can't see into the ballpark at about 90% of them anymore, so. It's not the quaint little place it used to be, just watch it on TV.
Our boys are having a hard time getting to that 500 mark.
Yeah, you can forget that. That ain't happening.
6 games under.
They sent out my guy Lamar and are calling up, not Byron Buxton, but Jake Cave is being called up. Because when you look at today's lineup in Rochester, Buxton's playing and leading off, and Jake Cave isn't. So obviously he's the guy coming up. They got a lot of right-handed pitchers coming up, so I guess they wanted a left-handed bat. So, but that's beyond that. It's the White Sox are not very good, but the Cubs and the Brewers are a lot better than the Twins. So.
When might they see Buxton here again?
I would guess next week in Milwaukee. He might be another week. I think. I think his rehab, without using an option on him, they can keep him down there for like another 6 days or something. And he's not hitting yet. He hit a home run, but he's 3 for 14 or something like that.
Will Sano reappear here this year?
Yes. Yeah, I guess maybe after the All-Star game. He'll be down there for a while, though. I don't think there's any hurry. I don't think that they're going to rush him back. I don't know how he's progressing. He's facing Class A pitchers, and he's playing every other day, basically. So,
you see Bubba's victory over the weekend.
Yeah, boy, Paul Casey, man. You get a 4-shot lead, and everybody else is ripping up that golf course, and he couldn't make a birdie. That's kind of what this place is going to look like when it gets a tournament. Lots of birdies. You better be ready to shoot about 18, 20 under.
Is there a lot of water in this one, TPC?
No, and not very many of it, unless they make some changes. Not much of it threatens. 18, they could make the second shot at 18 if they can get it back there, a potential place to hit it in the water if you're trying to get home.
Is that still the governor's home course? Do we know?
I don't know.
Was he was a member.
He was a member.
He was. I'm not sure if he's kept up. He's off the grid.
Well, I don't even know if he lives in Minnesota anymore.
See,
I think he kept a very humble abode.
That's
in Minnesota.
That's the
one that said Ventura Highway in front of it.
Yeah, that one that drew a little bit of attention. Maybe people thought they were in California.
Well, I think that if he's not still a member, he'll be back for that tournament too.
I'm sure
he'll be playing in the Pro-Am.
Yeah.
And he won't be paying the $6,000 or whatever it costs to play in the Pro.
You think he might be comped?
Former governors get comped.
Right. And if I get a jacket, I'm taking off with it. Right, Charlie Frank?
That was a Timberwolves jacket.
That was a Timberwolves jacket.
Right?
Nice leather Timberwolves jacket that he modeled.
The Wild really never got him involved, did they? Because they figured it'd be too expensive with
I
it.
think
He's
Charlie,
taking all his stuff.
yeah, Charlie Frank may have given him a call and said, here's what he did to us, and we've been on a bad run ever since.
Joe, may I ask you a question before you move on to
Why
your break
not?
here? The story you had about the guy with the golf balls.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of people that have called and also emailed. Did you say that they are in milk cartons or that they are in egg cartons? The
They're
golf
in egg
balls.
cartons inside milk, those plastic
Milk carton.
containers.
Okay, so they're in both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Because
So
there's
they're in
people
the
that
egg
are
cartons
confused.
inside those square 12 by 12
They're called
milk
what?
cartons.
Milk cartons?
Milk cartons, okay.
Where do you get those?
Milk cartons, you can get them.
Do you get them?
I'll get you one by 3.
I've got I
three
seriously,
tomorrow.
I have 4 in my garage.
I know. They
I got
just
some
seem
that
to
are
appear.
blue.
I don't know where they come from.
The farm.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
I'm gonna fight 'em all. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back.
No ball game today. Twins start at the White Sox tomorrow night.
9-game road trip. A great road trip. Too bad the team's so mediocre because this would be a great road trip for Twins baseball fans. You go to whatever we call the new Comiskey.
Guaranteed rate field.
Yeah, and then you go to Wrigley. All day games, right? 4 o'clock Saturday, Friday, 3 o'clock.
I got it right here.
Saturday.
Where do you get a ticket on the street?
Or know somebody, I'm sure.
Well, if you want to go to the Whiteys, you can get in for $5.
Yeah, the Whitey's not a problem. Then you go to Milwaukee to play the Red Hot Brewers, who've been packing them in.
Yeah.
And including a July 4th matinee, I would guess.
4:05 Friday. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what time Saturday?
1:20 Saturday,
Ooh,
1:20
we like
Sunday.
1:20 Saturday, 1:20 Sunday.
Is Monday an off day, or do they go right to
I
Milwaukee?
go right to Milwaukee, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they don't, I think, right? Because they need a starting pitcher. They sent out Romero. They need a starting pitcher Saturday. Today is Monday. And Adalberto Mejia, who's been pitching very well, is pitching in a 7-inning game for Rochester. So let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, he'd probably be your Saturday pitcher. So on this day in history, I saw Twins Almanac send this out today. Second game of a doubleheader, June 25th, 1978. Roy Smalley's grand slam home run in the 7th inning rallied the Twins to a 9-6 victory over the mighty Whiteys. Now, Rodney Carew didn't start that game because the left-hander was pitching. It was the second game of a doubleheader. So Cubby didn't start that game. But Roy the Boy was hitting 8th. Butch Weiniger didn't play either with a lineup. Bobby Randall leading off, of all things. Bombo hitting second. Jose Morales hitting third. Disco Danny hitting fourth. Craig Mongo Cusick, the late, great Craig Mongo Cusick, fifth. Larry Wolf, sixth. Willie Norwood, seventh. Rodney pinch hit for him and stayed in the game. And he also knocked in 3 runs that day. Roy Smalley hitting 8th. Glenn Borgman hitting 9th. But what got me was the Twins pitchers that day. They only used 3. Roger Erickson started. Mike Marshall finished. But one of my favorite Twins' name pitched 2 innings in the middle, Max Scarce.
Oh, yeah.
A left-hander. You were covering that. A left-hander. Max Scarce.
I might have been at that game.
You might have been. It was a double.
Did you bring a typewriter?
June 25th, 1978.
Doubleheader in Chicago on a Sunday afternoon. Yes. 3:09 was the night game. That's pretty long. Was the second game. That's pretty long for that.
That era.
But then again, now of course that was 1 year after the Twins lost Heisel and Bostock and all the other free agents, and the White Sox lost Richie Zisk and Oscar Gamble and all those guys. Because in '77 was when they had all those brawls, including the Rod Carew game out here on June 26th. Tomorrow is the anniversary, by the way.
Or is that going to be this day in history tomorrow?
It'd have to be June 26th.
This day in history.
Rodney goes over 400 up to 406, and the biggest regular season crowd ever at Met Stadium. Remember that day, that Sunday afternoon?
Were they playing the Whiteys?
Yes, 19-12.
The Whiteys were wearing shorts, I believe.
They might have been.
Yep.
19-12 that day. Glenn Adams drove in 8 runs.
I remember the shorts.
I think it was a Sunday afternoon.
Yes, it was. It was 45,000. Yep. I think they held the game up.
Yeah.
Calvin, the pitcher was already warmed up, and Calvin wanted him to delay it. But that was one of the most famous games in Twins history. But somebody that ran me, and I had to look and ran.
Well, 90% of that crowd had to be that day's walk up, right?
Yep.
Nobody was going to games.
77, they had caught on a little bit, because they remember they got off to a great start. And the next week, they went to Chicago, and they were in first place by 3 games, and I think they got swept and left town 4-game series. They had a Saturday afternoon doubleheader. And that's when Disco Danny forgot his sunglasses, and the ball dropped, and the game turned, and the manager was not happy. That was the first game of a doubleheader. He was. That's when I
kind of set the tone for the day.
That's when I saved the blind radio guy, from getting punched by the manager. The big fella, remember him? He had a guy leading him around all the time, and he'd go in and do interviews.
Yes.
And I saw him walking down the hall and with the guy, because the White Sox didn't open up their clubhouse between games. So he said, well, we'll go in and talk to Gene. And this is after Ford screwed up the game, and I wouldn't even go in and talk to Gene, because you could see the inferno.
Could you see the steam?
You could see the actual blaze coming out, and the guys... He said to his handyman, the guy leading him around, let's go and see Gene. And I jumped in front and I said, no, this wouldn't be good for Gene's. Yeah, I can see the headline, manager punches blind guy.
This would be bad for the country.
Yes, it would. You to get beat up by the manager would not be good. No, well, there's a bunch of Twins over here, I'm sure, that would love to talk to you. Don, I think. It wasn't Vogel, obviously, but whatever his name was. But I saved a lot of embarrassment that day. So
I think he was a WLS guy.
Might have been, but he was at all the games. Yeah, he was.
Hell of a play-by-play guy, huh?
No, I don't think he did.
No, he would do he would do post-game, pre-game, and post-game interviews.
Okay, okay.
Let's go talk.
You could play jokes on him, like you could say, "I want to talk to Richie Zisk," and have Oscar Gamble do the interview, and he would, then the other guy would have had to say, they're playing it.
Yeah, they're messing with you.
They're messing with you.
I called on an ad on Craigslist for a car up in Duluth.
Oh, God. Yeah?
It turned out it was Bruce Bennett's cousin.
Really?
Yeah.
Bruce Bennett was the guy with no fingers?
No, nothing.
He had
here.
He just had little stubs.
Yes.
And you asked
he was cut off at the elbow.
And you asked him for a fingernail clipper.
I asked him for a fingernail clipper at the Super Bowl with Pittsburgh, to help take the string off one of those double net jackets.
Brucey,
Brucey, you got a fingernail clipper. I was hungover. I had an excuse.
Yes.
He's been my first boss, up in Duluth. He hired me up in Duluth. But,
jeez, that is.
I can remember the dreadful jacket that you were trying to trim the thread from.
I was
like
just
curtains.
asking everybody, and I didn't want Bruce to feel left out.
Bruce should have had a sense of humor and said, Pat, if I had fingers, I would look through my bag to see if I had one, but I'm pretty sure I don't.
Sports Talk will return shortly, but now, thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota, at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now, or what's left of it.
And not a very good way to start the week. Trade jitters sent stocks sharply lower to open the week, although the losses were trimmed a bit in the final minutes of trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average still tumbled 328 points, closing at 24,252. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 160 points, and the S&P 500 fell 37. The Food and Drug Administration approved the first prescription drug drug derived from the marijuana plant as a treatment for rare forms of epilepsy that primarily afflict children. The FDA said it cleared GW Pharmaceuticals Epidiolex to reduce seizures associated with forms of epilepsy in patients 2 years of age and older. The FDA said the drug does not cause the high that comes from the chemical component of marijuana. Does Dick's Sporting Goods have an inside line on NBA news? Dick's is now selling LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers jerseys at half price. Other superstars who are currently free agents like Kevin Durant and Chris Paul have their jerseys still being sold at full price at Dick's. That adds a little bit to the intrigue of the decision to cut the prices on LeBron's jersey. I'm Bruce Vail with your money now on 1500 ESPN.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Away you go, and we'll talk again tomorrow. We're going to check traffic here. This report sponsored by Jersey Mike Subs. And you know what? Let's go right to the Twitter. I just sent out a couple of blistering tweets. Number one, Highway 41 closing over the Minnesota River tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. That's due to the encroaching high tide. And MnDOT closing the right lane of North and South 35W between Black Dog and Cliff. That's on Wednesday. They're going to build a dike there. The sub-above difference is substantial. After
Hey, gentlemen, Sarah Sanders was late for her press conference today. My theory is she went to a restaurant that wouldn't give her lunch. That might have been the problem.
My poor girlfriend. Can't believe the way they treat her.
No.
Kenny, you would treat her much differently, wouldn't you?
Oh, my God. I would get her anything she needs.
I looked up restaurants in Lexington, Virginia, just to see. They had a place called the Foothill Mama's Barbecue Juke Joint. That's where she should have went. They would have served her there, man.
Boy, that sounds like a cool place.
Better than the Red Hen.
The Red Hen.
Mm-hmm.
There was another restaurant called like the Red. Did you see that?
I saw that.
They were responding to criticism on social media. It was very funny.
The other one's in Washington, D.C.
And they're getting beat up, too?
Yeah, because it was the Red Hen. They're both named the Red Hen.
Well, there was one guy whose name was Roger something. He said, well, then why do you use their same name? He goes, why do you and Roger Federer use the same name? That was very funny.
Here's John Haidt.
Thanks, Kenny. It's partly sunny and 81 degrees. Twins off today. They're heading to Chicago, play the White Sox 3 games starting tomorrow. Then they move across town to play the Cubs 3 games. Finish up the road trip with 3 against the Brewers in Milwaukee. They did make a couple roster moves over the weekend. Fernando Romero back to Rochester. Ellen Busenitz brought up Ryan Lamar. Also sent down. Twins will make a corresponding move before tomorrow's
Jake Cave, sir. It's not official, but it is. He's not in the lineup today, and Buxton is. So.
Hey, John, is the guy that Such calls the dope-smoking moron, is he still
Yeah,
up?
we still got him.
We still got him?
Taylor Motter, yeah.
He's on the dope.
He's still around.
I didn't say he was a moron. I said he looks like a dope.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say moron. I said dope, yeah.
Hey, what's Matt Belisle required to do to be off the roster?
Why is he still on the team? What are we doing here?
Leadership.
He's good. He's good in the room.
Good in the room.
Good in the room. The Minnesota United lost over the weekend to Colorado. They have the rare Friday night game this week, playing FC Dallas at TCF Bank Stadium. You'll hear it right here. 6:30 pre-match, 7 o'clock kickoff. 1500 ESPN.
Johnny, you remember Joe Mauer's double that was called foul ball?
Oh, sure.
You remember?
That was in New York,
right? You remember the push-off by
Drew Pearson?
Drew Pearson.
Sure,
remember that?
Yeah.
Sure.
The United got hosed worse than either of them.
Come on.
The game was over. It said 6 minutes of extra time.
Yep.
It was damn near 7 minutes, and they let him score a goal. Wow. We got robbed, I tell you.
That's not good. Wild GM Paul Fenton today announcing they have agreed to terms with defenseman Ryan Murphy on a 1-year, 2-way contract. Today also is the day offers for restricted free agents are due in the NHL. Wild has extended offers to Matt Dumba, Jason Zucker, and Nick Seeler.
This Swede they draft is not ready to play yet.
No, God, no. He was a projected third rounder. Mm-hmm. His upside is being another Brodeen, which I would doubt he's going to be, but I want my upside to be higher than Brodeen.
News notes from today: a Zimmerman man has been arrested after a fight authorities say sent another man to the hospital with serious head injuries over the weekend. A release from the Sherburne County Sheriff's Department said 20-year-old Dylan Eric Hunter Wilhite was arrested Saturday. The release says authorities learned of the incident, which is alleged to have happened Friday night at a residence in Baldwin Township, on Saturday morning when a relative of the man injured called to report he had been taken to the hospital. According to the release, the 20-year-old injured man was taken by a friend to Fairview Northland Medical Center in Princeton, underwent surgery for a crushed skull and internal bleeding, and is reported in critical condition. The release states authorities learned there was a fight in which a man was reportedly hit in the head with a weapon. Wilhite has been booked into the Sherburne County.
John, I got two questions you probably can't answer.
You're probably right.
What were they? What was the dispute over?
A woman, probably.
Yeah, no word on that.
And the second question?
How come that guy has got so many names?
Oh,
Dylan Eric Hunter Wilhite.
Yeah, you only get two. You only get two.
We're assuming alcohol played a factor.
Yes,
we don't even have to ask that question.
We'd assume so.
I was at an establishment over the weekend in which two guys started arguing over picking up the wrong pull tabs out of the wrong box.
Oh boy!
You didn't look for the winners. That was fun.
I think I quickly leave
because they do the X if they've got the winners. So you always look for the ones that have the least amount of markings on the board. Oh, they were hot and heavy about that.
I stopped in yesterday to my local brewery. I won't say which one, to pick up some beer to drink last evening, and the two fellows beside me started comparing their gun collections, which kind of frightened me, but.
Johnny, isn't it nice to go get a beer on Sunday, though?
Yes, it is.
There's nothing unusual about that, John.
Really? Talking about what you got?
Who do you usually argue with?
I thought it was a little weird. But.
It's just me and my son arguing. Because we don't associate with other gun owners. They're weirdos.
Harley Davidson is shifting some production of motorcycles for European customers out of the United States. They want to avoid EU retaliatory tariffs. Harley Davidson's move, some of the most direct evidence yet that the tit-for-tat trade fights between the U.S. and other countries will have some consequences for American companies. Harley says it stood to lose as much as $100 million a year. The EU began imposing tariffs Friday on $3.2 billion worth of American goods. That includes motorcycles, orange juice, bourbon, peanut butter, motorboats, cigarettes, denim. They are a response to the Trump...
You can buy those?
They are a response.
They're going to cost you, huh? They're going to cost you.
I didn't know. Oh, do I charge or does she charge? How's this work?
That's all a response to.
Hey, honey, there's a fee.
The Trump administration's tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. For motorcycles, the EU
How do they decide what they're going to slap her on? That's what I want to know.
Well, for motorcycles...
It seems a very odd collection.
The EU raised its 6% tariff to 31%.
Ooh.
So that would make each bike about $2,200 more expensive to export, according to Harley. And Harley said they will not raise bike prices for customers or retailers, hence the reason for the move.
Hey, I saw the dictator won in Turkey, huh?
Yes, he did.
He won again. That's right. He also said, God is stupid. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
He said, God is stupid. And God, the tweet of God responded, you're right. I made you.
That was actually the Philippine president, and it's my next story. Actually,
okay. Excuse me.
That was not planned.
I thought it was the Turkey guy.
Not Erdogan.
No.
This was the Philippine president, notorious for having cursed the Pope and world leaders like Barack Obama.
Oh, that's right. Excuse me.
He has sparked new outrage by calling God stupid in Asia's largest Catholic country.
Is this Duterte?
That's him.
Why provoke? That's what I want to know.
Right.
Why provoke?
Yeah, why take a chance?
Yeah.
Opposition Senator Antonio Trillanes IV shot back by describing President Rodrigo Duterte as one evil man, and his remarks is very much consistent with the deceitfulness, heartlessness, and ruthlessness of his policies. Even some of Duterte's political allies were critical. A Catholic bishop, Arturo Bastis, called the president a madman and encouraged Filipinos to pray for an end to his blasphemous utterances and dictatorial tendencies. Bastis says Duterte's tirade against God and the Bible reveals again he's a psychological freak, a psychopath, an abnormal mind who should not have been elected as president of our civilized and Christian nation. Another bishop, Roberto Santos, said the president had crossed a line.
A lot of difficult words and names in that story, John. A lot of us would have just crumpled that baby up and thrown it away and not even tried. You should get an award for that one.
I think when you're ripping God, you deserve a story.
Yeah. I don't know if you know.
Especially in a country when they are celebrating Good Friday, they actually crucify people.
Right.
Yeah,
They take it serious.
God's watching at that point.
They take it serious.
You're really risky.
You've got his attention.
Yeah, right.
Farm Aid is heading.
It's your turn. No,
He's hit the record button on the DVR.
I did it too. Yeah, right. You only get to do this
It's like
once.
jury duty.
Yeah.
I did this already.
Farm Aid is heading to Connecticut for the first time in its 33-year history when the annual charity show comes to Hartford's Xfinity Theater in September. Lineup announced today.
Theater? Farm Aid in a theater?
I think they did that the last couple of years, too, I believe.
It must be getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Well, the lineup's still really good. It'll feature this year Farm Aid board members Neil Young, Willie Nelson, John Mellencamp, alongside Casey Musgraves, Chris Stapleton, Sturgill Simpson, Margot Price, Nathaniel Ratliff, Lucas Nelson.
I want to go. Nathaniel Ratliff and Sturgill Simpson. I want to be there.
Very good show. Additional artists will be announced later this summer. Tickets go on sale June 29th.
Connecticut produces apples, barley, beets, carrots, cabbage, herbs, lettuce, oats, onions, parsnips, pears, peas, radishes, turnips, wheat, and broadleaf tobacco.
Huh. You know what's
I had no
underrated?
idea.
You know what's underrated? A good beet.
Yeah, I like a good beet.
But you put a little salt on them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta have a little salt.
You can eat it raw.
What about turnips?
It's good for you.
You guys eat turnips?
Never
Never
to my
eaten a
knowledge,
turnip.
you've had a
I
turnip.
don't think I've had a turnip.
I bought a couple from the turnip truck.
My people pull them right out of the ground and start eating them like they're
really?
apples off the tree.
They're a glorified potato, aren't they?
I don't know. I'm afraid of them.
Your relatives or they both? Oh.
All right, just a moment.
Big doings in Chaska tomorrow morning. Highway 41 will be closing over the Minnesota River at 9 a.m. due to the encroaching high tide. MnDOT also going to build a dike on 35W between Black Dog and Cliff. They're doing that Wednesday morning. Here's Stapleton. Oh, bummer.
That's not good.
Kenny, I drove over that yesterday.
Yeah, it's
that
pretty high.
water is right at the markings of the road. I was shocked it was still open yesterday.
This is a new concrete bridge,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And
which was built higher.
Yeah,
right?
because it had flooded so many times in the past.
And they've got a giant dike in place that protects Chaska, if I remember right.
Yeah, the city itself is okay, but it's that road once you go south of
So
town.
what if the water comes over the bridge and then into Chaska via the roadway?
Then put your house up for sale. Because there's nowhere for it to go.
Right.
Last hour during Garage Logic, we talked about the old fella on Pawn Stars passing away.
Oh, really?
The grandpa, the dad.
The grump.
77 years old. He died surrounded by his family. And then somebody said, whatever happened to Chumley with his legal brush?
He had a brush with the law.
Yes, he did. Well, here's what happened. Chumley, whose real name is Austin Lee Russell, took a plea deal, and that kept him out of jail. David Chesnoff, Russell's lawyer, said the popular reality TV star pled guilty to a felony weapons charge, unlawful possession of a firearm, and to gross misdemeanor of attempted drug possession in a deal that calls for 3 years probation and counseling. He has to stay out of trouble until next year, 2019.
Chumley, can you do it?
If he does, the felony charge would be dismissed and he would be left only with a misdemeanor conviction on his record. If he gets in trouble with the law again, he faces 2 to 5 years in state prison on the weapon possession charge. Russell was 33, arrested March 9th of 2016 after police searched his home on a warrant stemming from a sex assault case. But that case he was cleared in. No charges at all were filed in the sex assault case. When they searched his home, Chumley, they found a dozen weapons, registered handguns, a shotgun, unregistered assault-style rifles, a small gallon bag of pot, anxiety medication, and a small amount of methamphetamine.
Is he still on the show?
He was, according to the story that I read, he would have his status would not be changed whatsoever.
What was
illegal? I haven't
illegal?
seen.
Are
the
they
show.
still on?
Yeah.
I don't watch it anymore.
What was illegal about the firearms?
He had some unregistered assault-style rifles. That was the illegal
Which
part of
evidently
that.
is the law in Nevada?
Apparently, I don't know, to be truthful, but That's the weapon charge. Because he did have registered ones that were fine.
I bet he's like a genius.
I bet he is.
Like a savant?
I think he's very bright, and he plays this dummy to good
I'd
effect.
say that right up until the meth charge. If you got a bag of meth, I'm questioning.
That's going to make a great liner going forward.
He might have been holding it for someone else.
No, Pat, I think you're really trying to be charitable here.
I just can't believe a guy's that stupid, so I got to think he's smart, to play stupid.
He's playing a part.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't account for his dreadful voice.
I don't take these reality shows to be unscripted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you both say that about me, too?
No.
Pat trying to grasp
We
for some
did
hope.
until you made the chair box.
Joe, you're right. Okay, that's fair enough.
You guys know what pool noodles are, right?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Pink
I was
and blue.
picturing food.
Yeah, right. I got them all over the place.
All right. Well, it's a good thing you don't live in Arizona.
Uh-oh.
Arizona Fire Department warning residents after a family discovered a large rattlesnake and its babies living inside a pool noodle.
I don't do that.
City of Buckeye Fire Department posted the warning to its Facebook page. The post said the pool noodles had been left leaning up against a cinder block wall for a time before a resident moved them for use in the swimming pool. A rattlesnake popped out the end of one of the noodles, and the resident soon discovered several young rattlesnakes living inside.
No, that's not right.
Fire department said other breeds of snakes have previously been known to lay eggs inside of pool noodles. Grayson Getty, a reptile trapper with Rattlesnake Solutions, said snakes are attracted
Rattlesnake
to...
Solutions.
That's
What
correct.
a great country.
Mom and Dad, I got a great idea for a business. Rattlesnake Solutions.
Here's my card.
Might be hard to hire. Might be tough to hire employees.
And your card, it rattles.
Grayson said snakes are attracted to cool, dark places.
Who isn't?
He recommended pool noodles and other toys be stored on an elevated shelf or in a closed plastic container.
You don't have to worry about that in Minnesota.
In Great Britain, a fisherman mugged at knife point by two men in an inflatable boat while he was 3 miles out to sea.
Oh, my goodness.
He got mugged while he was out to sea.
3 miles out to sea.
Pirates.
He was fishing, in a inflatable boat.
He was in a dinghy.
He was fishing he was in his boat. These guys came out in a little...
This sounds like an episode of the Trailer Park Boys, doesn't it?
Well, why did he let them catch up to him in a little tiny boat?
Yeah, why not run them over?
He was fishing in the channel off Slapton Sands when he was approached while in his vessel. The two men threatened him with a knife, cut his nets before they stole all the fish he had caught. Police spokesman said this morning about 5:30 a.m., a local fisherman was threatened 3 miles out to sea off Slapton Sands. They had cut his nets and stolen his fish. He was threatened with a knife. Please don't buy any fish from unreputable sources.
All right.
So he was a commercial fisherman.
Yes.
I got you.
I'm sure he probably thought they were just guys who needed a hand or something, don't you think? That'll be friendly, and there you go.
Well, you got your rules of the ocean.
You should just shoot him with a flare gun.
An Idaho rancher showed off an unusual...
Probably would have blown him away.
Idaho rancher showed off an unusual method he devised of transporting his horse in a homemade motorcycle sidecar. The video
Must
filmed...
be a small horse.
It was a normal size. I saw the video.
Did the horse have the little helmet on, too?
No.
The horse stand?
It was either standing or sitting. You couldn't really tell.
What horse would agree to this?
Wait a minute.
I don't know. Yeah.
Horse
It was
didn't
either
sign up for
standing
this.
or sitting. Well, it has to be one or the other, John.
I couldn't tell. The video, filmed on a road in Shoshone, shows Casey Perkins riding his motorcycle while the horse rides next to him in the homemade sidecar.
Is it an emotional support horse?
No, it's just a horse. The video's filmer, Perkins' wife, said he made the horse sidecar himself. He said, my husband started this whole deal a little over a year ago when he decided to modify the family van and hauled his horse in it. That inspired his next invention of hauling the horse beside his motorcycle. It was a cash machine.
Much as horses like to poop, I'd always be afraid to put them in a vehicle like that.
Well, Pat, this was a sidecar that had nothing to do with being in a vehicle.
Well, but he did, Joe, start in the van.
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Let me know when you got to stop and go pee.
I'll let you out.
Right.
A cash machine
I
heist.
just would like to do that. Clean that up.
Cash machine heist with a difference. The attackers were rats. one rat at least slipped through a hole in the back of an ATM in northeastern India and started eating. By the time it was done, more than $19,000 in bills were shredded.
Wow.
When technicians arrived to fix the broken State Bank of India cash machine in the town of Tinsukia, they found a dead rat inside it and Indian currency notes
Overeaten. Gluttony. Died of gluttony.
worth nearly 1.3 million rupees, or a little over $19,000 chewed.
I got a rat question.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I bet they got some big boys over
You
there.
break into the ATM.
Yeah.
And you think, I'm going to eat this money.
Yeah.
All right. You start with you take your first couple of bills.
Yeah.
When does it occur to you that this isn't food?
I don't know.
Never, apparently.
I don't
What
know.
what was the nutritional value of eating the rupees?
They come hungry in India. They get hungry.
Makes no sense to me.
No,
At some
it
point, the
doesn't.
rat's got to think this is going
The
nowhere.
rat was very illogical.
Yep.
The ATM had been broken since May 20th. They didn't find the rat until June 11th.
Not a lot of demand on that ATM,
No,
huh, John?
apparently not.
Right,
No,
John.
no.
All right, thank you. Just a moment here.
Randball from the Star Tribune was out and about with a group of people watching minor league ball games last week where they have the 20-second pitch clock.
Oh, yeah?
And he was very impressed with the pace of the game that it inspired, so I'm going to talk to him.
I'm very nervous. I'm not joining the movement to shorten the length of baseball games. I'm very nervous about it.
That's not the way to do it. I agree with you on that. And Paul Sullivan covers both the White Sox and the Cubs for the Chicago Tribune. We're going to talk to him, too, since I'm sure the entire Windy City is excited about the prospect of having the Twinks in town for an entire week.
The guy's a beat guy for both teams?
Well, I think he backs up on both teams.
Oh.
He's like the third guy. And
For the Tribune or Sun-Times?
Tribune. Been there a long, long time. You know the Tribune Tower's gone, don't you? Not as a building, but the Tribune is no longer
I did
there.
not know that.
The Tribune has moved out of the building. Yes,
That's a beautiful building.
I'm going to talk to him about that, too.
1500 ESPN is KSTP St. Paul, Minneapolis. I once went up and visited Royco in that building.
Oh, man.
Patrick Racy's coming up next. It's 81.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. It's crazy to think that a few weeks ago we were talking about whether or not Tua Tagovailoa should consider retiring. After 2 concussions and worldwide debates on player safety and NFL culpability, Tua has done nothing but go back to work and currently has the Dolphins riding a 3-game win streak and 1 loss behind the division favorite Buffalo Bills. While everyone was yapping about the end of his career, Tua Tagovailoa said he'll decide when it's time. And clearly, he's not ready to hang up the cleats. Hi, this is Chris Howard from the Plugged In with Chris Howard podcast. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting, up-to-the-minute scores for the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including the MLB playoffs, the start of the NHL season, MMA, boxing, and golf. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.